Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing some more gaming analysis. In this video I decided to cover a brand new game to this channel, Just Shapes and Beats. A game that I really do enjoy. I've played it a fair amount. And so today we'll be doing a level tier list. This is part 1, it will be for the story mode levels only. If you want the extras and the DLC levels, then that will be in part 2. And the reason I'm doing this is because I said so, deal with it. Now, disclaimer, this is a great game and a tier list is quite arbitrary. So any levels that are in F or D tier aren't necessarily bad, it's just by Just Shapes and Beats standards. And while I do try to stick to the facts for ranking the levels, I do have my own biases. There is no problem with disagreeing with this tier list. If you disagree in some way, write in the comments why you disagree and where things should go in your opinion. And of course, major spoilers for the actual game. So here is the tier list. You can see we have F, D, C, B, A, S, and of course S+. The tutorial level, Corrupted. I've also included the artists next to their level names because copyright. So I think Corrupted is a very good tutorial level with a solid enough difficulty for how early in it is. And also I like that one little bit where the birds teach you that you can dash through obstacles. So A tier. Next we have Chronos, which is the first actual level of the game, because Corrupted is the tutorial. It's still quite easy and it has 5 checkpoints, the most of any actual level. And the level isn't easy enough to be a cakewalk, but it can be boring if you're an experienced player, so B tier. Milky Ways. It sounds fast and it feels like it plays fast. And the difficulty jump can be quite difficult for new players. But that's when we'll realize that the section with circles is very easily cheesable. Hence only in C tier, because during that section you're not doing a whole lot. Logic Gatekeeper. Very, very short level. I think it's 1 minute and 23 seconds. And the large wall section feels like a ripoff from Chronos. And then the last part is just boring. It's just large circles and the occasional pulse bomb. So nothing there to really differentiate it from any of the other levels. D tier. The first boss fight in the game, Long Live the New Fresh. It is definitely one of the easiest bosses. I wouldn't call it the easiest. It's a great introduction to boss levels and the main antagonist, whom the community decided to name Blixer. Good name, fits well. I do especially like the last part where the song is integrated to sound like effects from the boss itself. So S rank. Or S tier rather. And following Long Live New Fresh, we have another boss fight, new game. Second boss in the game. It's a major difficulty spike, setting the tone for the rest of the game's difficulty. However, the rest of the game would be much easier without this level, I feel, so I'm welcoming the challenge quite well. And I do think the level itself is fun. However, it does kind of say get good or give up, so I can't place it in S+, so S. The Art of War. This level I feel like is a two-sided coin. I know all coins are, but hear me out. So, on one side it looks really, really good. On the other side, the song is a little bit meh. And it's kind of slow-paced. But it's still tough enough to be a proper J-sub level, especially following new games, so A tier. Next we have Termination Shock, and oh my god, I hate this level so much. It's the longest non-boss level, and an irritating one at that. I would consider it needlessly difficult, especially for the point in the game where it is. It's not particularly far into the game. And the level repeats itself constantly. The second and last areas are just copy-pasting. And the attacks are simple and irritating enough to outstay their welcome very quickly. So this is the first level I have to place in F tier. Next is Sevcon, combining an excellent soundtrack with some really good aesthetics similar to Art of War, and actually solid gameplay, unlike the Art of War. It's also a perfect level of difficulty to just let you admire the patterns once you get good enough at the game. S+, first one on this list. Following Sevcon, we have Cascade. Now, the last part of the level has what I'm going to call chill on the edge syndrome, where you just stick to the edge and move up and down a little bit. And I will be talking points from all following levels that have this. So, Cascade will suffer and end up with a C. Barracuda. The entire first part of this quote-unquote boss fight is just chill on the edge syndrome yet again. And this is way too easy for the point in the game that's found. It's probably easier than Long Live the New Fresh, at least for me. I'm not sure what you all might think, so tell me in the comments if you think New Fresh is easier or Barracuda is easier. But because of the difficulty and the problems with chill on the edge syndrome, I have to place it in F tier. Dubwoofer Substep. Definitely one of my favorite songs in JSAB, and the water mechanics are used quite well with all the pillars and lasers going into the water to cause it to rise. You can actually beat this one dashless with an S rank, even on hardcore, but it takes a little bit of practice. I'm going to put this in S tier. Following Dubwoofer Substep, we have Cheat Codes. I'd say one of the most recognizable levels from the unique pattern on the squares. The first few runs can feel a little bit like BS with the square patterns, and the sides almost feeling randomized, which I guess they are. So the level can feel unfair at times, but otherwise it's quite solid, so B tier. Next we have Clash. Now this is a level that knows what it wants to be and knows what it's doing. It's a clash between squares and circles. It combines a great soundtrack. Trip40 did an excellent job on this song. And the visuals are excellent. As I mentioned, it knows exactly what it's trying to do. And combining this with the overarching story and combat going on, it fits perfectly. S+. Lycanthropy. This is a great difficulty for the midway of the game. It can feel a little bit slower paced compared to, say, New Game, but it's otherwise incredibly solid, so A tier. Cool Friends. Excellent theming, but some of the attacks again feel a little bit like BS, especially that up and down saw blade pods in the middle. But I have to admit that the conveyors and side-scrolling fits the industry theme very well, and the difficulty should be expected to ramp up as the game goes along, so B tier. Next we have the Lunar Whale. This is a very unique level, especially the last part. Or it did until I found Paper Dolls, but that's in part 2. First part suffers from chill on the edge syndrome again, similar to Cascade, which will mean it will join Cascade in C tier. Spectra. This is an incredibly unique level in how you play it, which makes up for the extended length because it's very fun to play and it doesn't outstay its welcome. The last part kind of feels a little bit empty, might use some pulse bombs, but it's otherwise an excellent level. So A tier. Unlocked. Really a forgettable level, While it does kind of feel mini-boss-esque in the last section, there's a lot of levels that can be said to feel like that. Cheat codes, Sevcon, Clash, etc. So overall, less unique for it. C tier. Close to Me. One of the longest levels in the entire game. It's a boss level that manages to make the full 3 minutes and 40 seconds entertaining. I mean, the start can be a little bit slow, but the build-up is dramatic, and it gets all the emotions rolling, and it really does its job well. Also, the name of the song combines with the boss's attacks because you're always forced somewhat close to the boss, which is a pretty neat pun and gimmick. S tier. Into the Zone. For a late game level, this one's a little bit disappointing. It's slow, repetitive, and predictable, and boring. And the last section is just feels like copy and paste, like 4 times in a row. It's ridiculous. So this will join Logic Gatekeeper in the D tier. Vindicate Me. This one is probably not nearly as popular as I think it should be. So Vindicate Me quickly switches between chill and intense in a nearly jarring way, but still manages to flow incredibly well, which is something few other levels pull off. Also, the patterns, especially the Octopiston sections, are surprisingly easy when you know how to do it properly. So while it is difficult and it is an endgame level, it's not unfairly difficult. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. And then Try This. The music in the level is fantastic, along with the theming is almost Mission Impossible like. I was always disappointed that there were no real new attacks after the drop. After Try This song for size, mister, what exactly are you talking about? So I'm gonna have to put it in B tier because it starts to be repetitive at that point. Final boss. Like Barracuda, way too easy, but this is probably intentional to some extent. So I'm not going to dock it too hard for that. However, I will dock it for being very, very, very repetitive, especially the last section. So C tier. Annihilate. That's the final boss, and it is the most difficult level in the entire story mode, and it deserves it. It's the actual final boss. Annihilate matches difficulty with intensity, with stakes, and a crazy boss transformation, and an absolutely amazing ending, as an overall masterpiece of a level. S+. No questions asked. And then Till It's Over. I'm not gonna sing this, but you all know that this has to be an S+. It's great. Tristan did a brilliant job with this song. So, thank you everyone for watching my video. Like and subscribe, you know the drill. Please, I would like to get to 300 subscribers by the end of the month. And as I said at the start, if part 2 comes out, it will have all the extra levels and the DLC levels, like the Shovel Knight ones, the Lost Chapter ones, all that. And with that, I will see you all then.